But of course, there is great news for our vaccine rollout, the arrival last night of the first batch of the Pfizer vaccine. This amid renewed concerns that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine rollout may be somewhat delayed again. The health minister confirming last night that the first batch of filled and finished J&J vaccines are being delayed after a factory mix-up a few weeks back in the United States. The Business Day is reporting this morning that this is a precautionary measure to assess worldwide stocks. Well, let's talk about the vaccine rollout now with Fatima Hassan, social justice activist and founder of Health Justice Initiative. Fatima, thank you very much for your time. So the arrival of these 325,000 Pfizer doses last night, that is a big step forward. I'm sure you're quite relieved, as all of us are.
Yeah, I think a small step. Certainly it's under 500,000 supplies. We need to vaccinate over 20 million people. So unfortunately, it comes with a heavy heart because it's quite delayed, and it's a drip feed of supplies from one particular company that is also behind globally on its production targets. And the estimates at the moment is that if we receive monthly supplies, of these numbers, it's going to take us quite some time to vaccinate the entire country, people who are eligible for vaccines. So some good news, but I think we have a long, long way to go still.
And then concerns around this global stock assessment of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And this is potentially yet another delay after the clotting pause. How concerned are you about this latest speed bump? And do you think it could be significant, or it's just about following the process to make sure things are as safe as possible?
So look, I think there's an element to make sure that there's, the highest standards of safety and efficacy so that we contribute to greater vaccination take-up. But globally, there is a production and supply crisis. Almost every single manufacturer are behind their production targets for 2021. And we're already in, May 2021, so we're coming up to the half-year mark. A number of countries in the global south still don't have sufficient supplies of vaccines from J&J, from Pfizer, from AstraZeneca. So there are two issues here. The one is a self-created scarcity, because most of the vaccine manufacturers are still refusing, even though we're in May 2021 of this pandemic, to share the vaccine know-how, to share the vaccine knowledge. In fact, Pfizer hasn't even given a single license to any manufacturer in the global south to be able to make sufficient supplies of the vaccine. And the second issue is obviously vaccine selection. South Africa at the moment is only using Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, so that means you're reliant on two vaccine manufacturers. If there's a hiccup or, as you say, a speed bump with one of them, it affects the entire vaccination rollout. Obviously, that's linked to, how fast the regulator is reviewing dossiers, how fast it approves other vaccines. But at the moment, we're relying on two vaccine manufacturers, of which only one has given a fill and finish license to Aspen.
Yeah, we do know, of course, that the health minister said that we are going to get vaccines from China and Russia, but it's always a race against time, isn't it? Because winter is coming in. We're keeping a careful eye on those daily infection rates, which seem to be starting to creep up over 1,000 a day. How concerned are you about the third wave?
So, really concerned. I mean, just this weekend, we've been speaking to many groups and organizations around the world. The situation in India and Nepal, in many parts of Southeast Asia, are quite concerning and worrying for what that would mean for our pandemic preparedness here in South Africa, not just in terms of bed capacity and oxygen supplies, but also diagnostic testing kits, and then obviously vaccines. So where you've had, countries in parts of the world where less than 10% of their population has been vaccinated, largely, we believe, because of the hoarding of vaccines and because of the refusal to share the knowledge and not to basically relinquish intellectual property claims and rights in this pandemic, those are the countries who are experiencing third and in some cases even fourth waves, and a more severe form of the infection with variants and mutations. So we definitely are concerned. We're looking at the positivity rates in some of the provinces. You've mentioned in your introduction they're increasing. So we really hope that government is able to, insist that manufacturers really ramp up manufacturing and really ramp up the delivery of supplies. But at the current rate, we obviously worry that this is just going to take very long to be able to achieve the types of immunity levels that we need to be able to withstand what's going to happen in the next few months.